Hello YouTube, never-ending student here. Today is just after 10 p.m. It's Sunday, July 27th, and I'm back from the auction of Unitek Incorporated in Ohio. A very long round-trip drive. I started my day at midnight, got home around 8 p.m. So the auction was fun. This was my first time ever doing an in-person auction. I got just an absolute ton of stuff. This is nowhere near all of it. I haven't finished unloading the van because I don't have room to put everything. There's this. I got a bunch of kind of miscellaneous resistance, inductance, and capacitance standards. Various step boxes for standards. Some of them are transfer standards, which is nice. Some of them are custom manufactured by Unitek for their in-house use, and I reasonably believe that means I have the only ones in existence, which is neat. Other stuff, some older fluke meters. There's some Leeds Northrop gear. Some random Egstech milliohm meter, some LCR meters, but yeah. I mean, I showed that 1-minute video of this in the van. That is the crown jewel. This was one of two items that were my primary objectives for going to it. The other, there were two of these, and there were two Fluke multifunction calibrators with the associated transconductance amplifiers. Arguably, those went for a much better deal compared to what they usually do. But I had already won this one, and I just couldn't justify it. Like, it was still going to be within the very upper bounds of the budget I had thought of and made preparations for the auction, but it went high enough that I just couldn't justify absolutely maxing out my budget for the auction at the very start of the auction, and I decided to let it go in favor of the vast trove of everything else that was out there. And I'll probably go back and forth on whether or not I made the right choice on that for a long time, but oh well. The 5700 and the associated amplifier had been damaged. They previously attempted to sell it and ship it, and UPS did what they often will do with really heavy stuff. It got sent back to them, and it was kind of mangled. They said it probably worked, like he'd done some repairs, the guy that owned the place, but that it was, Kvad mTOR. It was to be considered a project unit and in no way a guaranteed functional unit, so I decided I had to let that go after bidding went above like 4,300. Still, amazing deal for the people who did get those. That and the fully functional Fluke 5500 with its associated amplifier and connector cable. That went for about, I think, 9,000. Considering just the calibrator itself goes on eBay for like 20 grand. Yeah, that was awesome for the person who won it. But anyway, there were two of the 3458s. There was one unit that was older than this. It was made in 1988, and it had option 2, that is the high stability reference. This one was made in 2005, and it doesn't have any options. But I was one of the first people there in the morning, and I was running full self-tests on both of them. The other one, when I ran a full test it did give me an error hardware failure. So, oh, and this one passed all self-tests. So I think I'm comfortable and happy with the result of which one I got. Like, not getting the one with the high stability time base, or sorry, not time base, the high stability reference, but getting the one that passed with no hardware errors, yeah, I'm okay with that. So I've let it warm up. It's, like I said, now 10 p.m. I've let it warm up since about 2 p.m. After about 5 or 6 hours, I ran the full 12-minute lawn auto calibration. And, I mean, this is the Advantest R6144 16-volt precision output. And, I mean, you can see, it is somewhat noisy, but you can see where it's at. With the average value I get out of this, I'm getting like 1.25 ppm. When I measure it off my DMM Check Plus, comparing it to the cal sheet that came with it, that gives me 2.8 ppm. So, yeah, it's good. I have a fully functional, no errors, and accurate 3458A. And I have officially realized that I have run into the point in time where my setup is too small now. If you look at the depth there, it's 20-inch depth. And this table is like 30 inches deep. It's probably going to go on a shelf for now. But yeah, I'm at the point definitely where I've already not integrated certain things into my bench because of space. Like, I have an old boat anchor era Hewlett-Packard 6811 programmable AC source, and I haven't integrated it, in part because I need to run a new breaker, so I have a circuit just for in here because I'm already hitting power ceiling, and the other part is just size. I've made the most out of it. Like, when I built this, I wanted a 6-foot desk. I ended up settling for a 5-foot because I needed something to build around, and that was available. I did pretty well, I believe, building out the shelf system to make the best use of the vertical axis that I could go up on. But yeah, it's time to build out further. So that'll be on my to-do list, although I don't know when I'll get to that. I have a huge to-do list. Something that takes advantage of that corner. One thing I'm considering is to have my high depth items at a 45 degree to, take more advantage of the available depth that a corner will give you, because often corners end up as underutilized or dead space that you can't use much. That, or I might just go with turning this into a 7 or 8 foot and building up. So that's something we'll see for later. But yeah, very very happy to have one of my long-term dearly wants on my checklist checked off. And to not have to go through eBay and end up with something that gets damaged in shipping or turns out to have various errors and needing thousands of dollars of replacement parts. yeah, yeah, happy with this. All right, I wanted to share that. I've done so. Uh, oh, right, test leads. That is a tiny fraction of the cabling and test leads that I got. There was an entire multi-drawer stand about, about this high, twice as wide, completely filled with basically. Actually, no, it wasn't all of their test leads. It wasn't even most of their test leads. They had boxes and boxes of so many. But I think I got somewhere between 100 and 150 pounds of test leads just because I bid for and won the contents of that shelving unit, or, well, drawer unit. It was on roller drawers. But yeah, 100 to 150 pounds of test leads of all sorts. And I do believe I got a few of those gold and copper, or tellurium copper, low thermal leads, just like custom in-house made instead of bought from Agilent or Fluke. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, some other stuff I've already loaded into the carport, and then yet more stuff I still haven't taken out. Mostly the test leads. Like 100 pounds of test leads are awkward to pick up, guys. Seriously. It's like 100 pounds of slippery wet noodles inside a cardboard box that wants to rip apart in your hands. That's exactly what it feels like, because that's what happened when I was loading them. The cardboard box started to rip apart as I was loading it into my van, and that was kind of a nightmare. But yeah. Oh, so this is one of those drawer bin units, little parts organizers. I don't know how to communicate the scale of this. Imagine, I wonder if I'm going to do this justice. Imagine those parts units, or those parts bins, about that size. So, floor's right there. So this is 1.5 feet high, 2 feet, something like 1.5 feet probably. Actually, hold on. I don't have to guess. I can just measure it. Okay. So that specific parts unit is 18 inches deep by like 14 and a half wide by a little over 6, or 18 inches tall by 14 and a half wide by like 6.25, 6.5 deep. Now, imagine multiples of those stacked from there to there, from floor to ceiling, and taking up the entirety of the space there, and a little more. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about right. I wish I'd taken pictures of it. I really do. It was like unimaginable. It was in a warehouse, and they were stacked, neck level height, and it was just 20 odd feet of rows of the things. So yeah, imagine those taking up all of the floor space in my office. All of it. With no light there, no fan. Completely up to the ceiling. That's what was there. They were going for lots of 6 to 10 of those things for $30 to $100. They were treasure troves. And I just could not justify, not the cost. The cost would have been effectively nothing compared to like that. I could not justify the space. Because literally, I just described volumetrically filling floor to ceiling my entire room here. I did not have the ability to store it. No amount of being a master at Tetris would have compensated for that. So, I paid a premium to bid on exactly one instead of a lot. This one has 344 O1A parts. I service those fairly often. I grabbed that, and to my extreme pain, I walked away from the rest. The craziness of the auction, though, it goes further than that. So there was, at the end of the auction, there were rows of folding tables, like 2.5 foot by 6 foot folding tables. And there was, at the end of the auction, it was a C shape kind of, or like, it was all rectangular. So think of a C shape or U shape. And most of the stuff was here. Then there was some stuff here. This was shorter. And then there was long back here. And this was where the auction ended. And most people had stopped buying stuff, and there were very few left. There was probably a 30 or 40 foot stretch of tables covered in boxes. Boxes of parts, boxes of tools, some handheld meters, just everything. There was one box that I saw that was all capacitors, for example. And the auctioneer was getting tired. He wanted the day to be done. He also kind of had an obligation to see everything sold, so everything would be removed. And when he didn't get a bite on like a row of 10 foot worth of table, he eventually said, "All right, hearing no offers, everything. Do I have $20? Silence. 10. Silence. 5. It went down to $1. There was me and another guy there. I looked at him, gave him a little bow, like, "It is yours if you wish. I do not have the space and could not possibly justify even attempting to transport it." And he took it all for $1. Hats off to him. He planned ahead better than I did. I have a huge van. He went there with a 20-foot box truck, I think. So he planned better than I did. And he probably also had more available storage, because I'm not sure if I could have found a way to store that many tables of boxes. Volume-wise, it might have been less than all of those parts bins. Because, they were one box deep on those tables. But, wow. Just wow. So yeah, very fun. Certain things went for very high prices, like for auctions, unreasonably high prices, just because they were sold at the start of the auctions. There was a bunch of scope meters, for example, fluke scope meters, but they were among the very first items sold, so they basically went for eBay prices. That was sad, because an EEV blog forum member had actually asked me, "Hey, if you can pick those up cheap, I'd like one." And I wanted to do that. He'd help me out on a Keithley repair, but was not to be. But yeah. Oh, yeah. The owner, the retired owner of Unitek was there. I got to talk to him a lot. He made sure that I got this folder which has all the paperwork for this the 3458A, including every single complete calibration report with data for the history of the meter. I could not be more ecstatic about that. That was awesome of him. There might have been a few other purchases I had that had documentation waiting, but nothing was nearly as important for getting documentation for as this was. All right. Yeah. Very cool. Oh yeah, there's a handheld Fluke there. When I was bidding on that, I thought it was an 87.5. It was in fact just a 85. Then we have one of those IET substitutor boxes. That one's for capacitance. I finally have something by Julia Research Laboratories. It's a ultra high precision, kind of just plug-in multi-resistor. It's actually quite heavy because it's sealed in a oil bath. First one I have of those. That was pretty neat. All right. See you guys. Good talking with you.